So we have discussed about connection-oriented architecture yesterday. We have seen in console application, and also we have seen in our ASP.NET. So now we'll go for disconnection-oriented architecture. I hope you people took the drawbacks yesterday. Connection-oriented architecture. No? Yes, no? Drawbacks. Okay. So we'll explain the drawbacks, and after that, so we'll see. So basically, the connection-oriented architecture. So what will happen, so when user open the connection and fail to close the connection, so then what will happen, like the number of open connections will increase, that may leads to performance issues. Okay, so the number of open connections will be open. Okay, so so then what will happen, it may leads to performance issues. So for example, why, sir? See, so for example, so when 10 so 10 number of people open database, the performance will go little slow. If it is 100, that will decrease to little more. If it is 1000, little more. If it is 10,000, 1 lakh or something, so the performance will be reduced based upon the users. Similarly, so when user open the connection, so for example, if you are working on some task or something, so the task got completed, so immediately you need to close the connection. Okay, so then what will happen? So the number of users will be reduced automatically. Okay, so in our connection oriented architecture, if user open the connection and fail to close the connection, then the number of open connection will increase, that will hit the performance of the application. So that is drawback one. Okay, so second drawback. So what is happening here? So when you click on save button yesterday, so directly the value is saving in our database. Okay, so so that means what is happening? Whatever the data you are giving here, directly we are storing in our database. Okay, that is also one kind of drawback only. So directly interacting with our main database, it is not recommended. Okay, so that is one of the drawback. So and also we have one more drawback. So by using connection oriented architecture, we'll go forward only direction, so one way only. So we are able to save the data, but we are unable to retrieve the data, or we cannot perform some other operations. Okay, so that is also one of the drawback with our connection oriented architecture. So in order to overcome them, all those drawbacks, we are going for a concept called disconnection oriented architecture. Okay, this disconnection oriented architecture is nothing but, so first drawback, opening the connection, and if user forget to close the connection, so it's a drawback one. So how to overcome the drawback means, so in our, we have one more concept called SQL data adapter. What is that? So by using SQL data adapter, it will take care of automatic opening and closing of connections. Okay, you don't need to open the connection, you don't need to close the connection. So SQL data adapter will open the connection. Once the task got completed, it will only close the connection. So automatic opening and closing connections will be taken care by our SQL data adapter class. Okay, so our SQL data adapter class is responsible for opening and closing the connections automatically. Okay, so this is how we'll, so the drawback one will be, we can overcome by using SQL data adapter. So so the second drawback, the second drawback, so so what will happen, like we are directly interacting with our database, original database. So in our disconnection oriented architecture, you don't need to directly interact with the original database. Here we have a concept called data set. What is that? So this data set is like a temporary database. For example, if you want to store some value in our database, so you will use data set, you will store there. And after that, if you want to push that data into your main database, so from your data set to database, it will pass. So you don't need to, you will never directly interact with your original database in your disconnection oriented architecture. Okay. And the second point, Second drawback, a third drawback. So data will read data in forward-loading direction. By using data set, you can retrieve the data from data set, or you can store the data into database by using data set. So forward, not only forward, so like both bidirectional. Okay, so these are the things we can overcome by using our disconnection oriented architecture. Okay, so when people go for interviews, okay, when people go for interviews, I'm not sharing anything. Okay, I'm explaining. After that, I will share. Okay, anyway, I'm sharing now. So, okay, so when you go for interviews, so if you are a 2 years experienced, 0 months experienced, 10 years experienced, or 20 years of experience, so the interviewer will definitely ask questions about ADO.NET. Okay, so without ADO.NET SQL Server database, so there will be no application will work, because so definitely you need to get the data from database, you need to store the data in database. So that is the primary thing for any application. Okay, okay. So when you go for interview, the interviewer will ask you so different types of questions on ADO.NET. Okay, first question, what is ADO.NET? So how you need to answer for that question? Okay, point number one. So as I mentioned in our previous sessions, when interviewer is asking question about anything, so first of all, whatever you know the answer for that particular question, explain all the points. If you know 100 points, explain 100 points also. Okay, so simple here. Then the interviewer will ask you what is ADO.NET. Then what you people will answer? I know. So simple, you will answer like ADO.NET is used to provide communication between front end and back end application. That's it. You will stop there. Or some smart people will answer like Act2 database object. That is what ADO.NET. They will tell like that. So that is wrong answer. Okay. So the interviewer will play with you and he will reject you also. Okay. So first he will play with you. So then you will get tears also. When you are coming out, they definitely will get tears for sure. Why? Because so how he will make you like, so he will prove your like, in front of that interviewer, he will try to prove you like you don't know anything. And he will make you like you're not suitable for IT. That's what he will try to do. So how to overcome that? So instead of that, if you failed also, then he will tell like, so you are so good, but you need to improve in these topics. If you improve, then someone will give you a job, or so after improving them, come here, I only will give you a job. So which is better? Like when you're going out with the tears is the best way, or when the interviewer is saying, don't worry, you are good. So you will get the job. So he will give you confidence here, and there you will kill your confidence. Okay. So how? Simple. So when an interviewer is asking you what are main important concepts of OOPS, then you will say four and you will stop. You will get a beautiful sleep that time. So so that is not the answer. When interviewer is asking you what are important concepts of OOPS, encapsulation, data abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance. Explain about encapsulation completely. Explain about polymorphism, inheritance, and also so so data abstraction. So when you are explaining about inheritance, we have four types of inheritance and we will stop there. No. So we have five types of inheritance: single level inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hybrid inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. And explain about single level inheritance. So we'll have one base class and one derived class. Multi-level inheritance, more than one base class and more than one derived class. Multiple inheritance, then explain. So here, more than one base class and one derived class, class doesn't support multiple inheritance because of ambiguity situation. So in order to achieve multiple inheritance, we are going for a concept called interface. Stop it there only. Because he will ask you what is interface later. And you people are so very good in interface also. Right? So that means So now you answered what? Oops question. You will answer interface question also. Okay. That means you are bringing your interviewer into your zone, your safe zone. Okay. So done. So then definitely he will ask about ADO.NET. Without ADO.NET, for a fresher, 200% the interview won't complete. For experienced, 60% of chances for this one. Okay. Okay. So then coming back to that ADO.NET question one more time. So when interviewer asks you what is ADO.NET, sir, we have two types of applications, front end and back end application. Front end, where user will directly interact, look and feel of a website or user interface. So back end application where we will store our data, we cannot have, will not have any access to that. Okay. So in order to provide communication between front end and back end application, so we are going for a concept called ADO.NET, sir. So basically, ADO.NET is of two types of architectures available in ADO.NET. One is connection-oriented architecture and disconnection-oriented architecture. So what is that? Connection-oriented architecture and disconnection-oriented architecture. Okay. So now explain about connection-oriented architecture completely. Sir, in our connection-oriented architecture, we have different steps available. Step 1, declare namespace. Step 2, create connection. Here we have two classes. So SQL connection and SQL command class available under SQL data client namespace. Okay. So later, the next point. So pass the query by using SQL command. So we already told open connection. If not, we need to tell that open connection. Pass the query. After that, execute query. So we have three methods available here. Execute scalar, reader, non-query. Explain about scalar, explain about reader, explain about non-query. Okay. So see, so after that, so finally close the connection. Okay. So when he asked what is ADO.NET, you need to explain both connection and disconnection oriented architecture. Now explain about the drawbacks of connection oriented architecture. Drawback one. So here we need to open the connection and we need to close the connection. If user failed to open and close the connection, the number of connections, open connections will remain same. That will increase. That may hit the performance of the application. Okay. So that is the drawback one. Second drawback. So here, so our data reader will read the data or will pass the data in forward only direction. So we cannot retrieve the data. So that is also one drawback. And final drawback is what? So we are directly interacting with our original database using connection oriented architecture. So in order to overcome that, we are going for disconnection oriented architecture. So now whatever I explain in disconnection oriented architecture, explain those steps in disconnection oriented architecture. So simple. So for example, so like if I gave some notepad and if I wrote all the points, whatever I explained now, then if you see that, then you will never get interest towards learning. But when I shown that PDF, our C# book, so because of that colors, because of the diagrams, whatever it may be, you will definitely get interest. So that is the difference. If you explain 2 points, so your reach will be up to there only. But when you explain about each and every point to the interviewer will be impressed with your knowledge. And definitely he will consider you for that position. Okay. So that is the difference. Okay. So when you are going for interviews, follow this approach. Okay. So I'll show the drawbacks now, note down. After that, I will explain disconnection oriented steps and also one small program with C#, some 5-6 lines. After that, we'll go to our, grid view and we'll see some example there. Okay. So once it is done, we'll move back to our ESP.NET concepts like page lifecycle and also, so I will explain about so validations. So before starting our validation, After phase life cycle, before starting our validation, we'll start our project one. Okay. So our project one will start. So we'll target to start this week only. Okay. So you people will do that project parallelly. So I will take 1 or 2 classes to finish ASP.NET completely. Okay. So before we finish our ASP.NET, we'll target for our project. Okay. So the next day, so we'll start our ASP.NET MVC. We'll at least target by this Sankranti holidays or something. We'll target to finish MVC. Then we'll left with only Web API and .NET Core and few other. Okay. So then what we'll be in a safe zone. Okay. So we'll move into that way and we'll try to finish, like, so as soon as possible. And I will tell you people when to go for interviews. Okay. So I'm not sharing few interview related walk-in details and all with you guys. After 15 days I will start sharing with you guys also. You guys can go there and see there is no relation with Naresh IT for those interviews. Okay. That is from my personal, from my contacts or something. And most important, when you are going for the job interview or something, so I don't have any idea on those companies. Like my students are the some of my students are working in different companies. So if they have some vacancies or something, they will share with me. Sir, we have some vacancies. So immediately I will share them. Okay. Or if I get the information from some other sources or something, I will share. So it's your responsibility to check about that company, whether it is a fake, genuine, or something. Okay. Or so before you got selected, before joining there or something, you guys can ask me so that I will help you guys like about that company and all. Okay. So, but so before you join there, so just do some uh, basic checks about the company. And most important, I always mention you guys, don't even pay a single rupee to any company. Okay. When you are doing job, when you are working for their company, why you need to pay the money to them? They will pay you. Instead of that, if they ask you to work for free, 6 months also work there and learn the work. Okay. So packages will come automatically to you. Okay. Don't pay even a single rupee. So you know don't go for moonlighting. Okay, if you want to keep some 4 years experience, also no problem. So many people are keeping their extra experience and all. But okay, so after my session, after my MVC session, you almost equals to 2 years real time experience. You almost equals to 2 years experienced. See, so I don't know how many of you tested the solid principles with your friends, colleagues, cousins, or something. Definitely, you will know the difference. If you compare with them, they don't answer but you will answer. So that will be the difference. Okay. So don't pay even a single rupee to any company. Okay. Don't go for proxy. So okay, proxy, if you're doing now, after 6 months, if they remove you from job, then what you will do? Again, you will go for proxy. For lifetime you will do the proxy. So instead of that, if you learn well, you can do proxy for others. Yes or no? So see, now you will keep proxy and someone will clear your interview. Okay. So you will clear your interview by using proxy. That is so cool. So that is so cool. My question for you guys, tell me. So if you're doing proxy means you will fail after 6 months. Something like this thing. Meanwhile, you will learn some work. Again, you will go for proxy. Again, they will remove you. So when you will settle. So like by seeing that job or something, if your parents go for some marriage or something, then what will happen? So you will spoil your life and their life also. Right. So that's why don't go for proxy. So see, if someone asks me, like, sir, I need some proxy support or something. Instead of that, come to me. I will sit with you for 2 hours or 3 hours and I will help you how to learn for interview and I will tell you what to learn for the interview and I will give you interview questions. I will train you on them. Okay. So I will train you on them. I don't charge anything for that. So I'm not at all money minded in that case. Okay. So because so you need to have some permanent solution for you guys. Okay, don't encourage any proxy, don't go for it. So if someone is asking me also, I don't respond for proxy related. Sir, will you support for my work or something? No, I don't support. And most important, so if you people practicing the programs, you can ask me questions from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. only. If you send after 9:05 also, I don't respond. If I see your message or something, maybe, but don't expect reply after 9 p.m. Okay, please note down the drawbacks. Okay. So it's my request also. Okay. So if I'm not responding, then don't tell like Vishwas I did not respond or something. So make it fast. We'll finish disconnection also today. The steps and all explanation. Okay. So done. So we'll move to our next concept, that is what disconnection oriented architecture. Okay. Disconnection oriented architecture. So we'll give you kind of explanation. Okay. The first step here. So what is the difference between connection oriented and disconnection oriented? So both will be same. Okay. But the difference here is will not open and will not close the connection. Point number one. So that is the difference one. So difference two. So instead of storing the data directly into database, so we don't store the data directly. Instead of that, we'll go for data set. So what is the data set? Data set means the temporary database. We'll have some explanation for that. We'll see that. So here, the step one, same, declare namespace. Okay. So those two namespaces. Okay. And so anyone here, yesterday someone connected with me, like, I'm unable to find using system.data.sql client namespace. Who is that? You. Okay. So if you're unable to find namespace, so I've explained in our C# session how to add references, like, by using NuGet packages or by using so our references folder, class library. So there I have explained. So one more time I will explain you guys how to get the namespace. Some people, if they are unable to find the data client namespace or any other namespace, so then how can we add? Simple. I will just show you now. Follow that. Okay. Okay. So see here, everyone, listen carefully. So here in our solution explorer, so you have a folder called references. See here, this one. Okay. Now right click on that references folder. So here you have option called manage and NuGet or NuGet packages. Click on it. Okay. So now by default, it will always go to installed. Okay. Because whatever you have installed in your current project, it will show. Okay. So now click on browse. So whatever the package you want, you can search for it here. So for example, if you are not getting that SQL client, simply search for it. SQL client. So what is our namespace? Using system.data.sql client, right? Just click on install. That's it. Okay. So not clear, right? Can I explain one more time? So see here, everyone. So solution explorer. After that, right click on references. After that, manage and NuGet packages. Done. Now click on browse. Sir, what is the difference between browse and install? Install will show you what you installed in your project, what you are using in your project. Browse will bring you all the global namespaces. Okay, just search for SQL client. SQL client. Now select this one and click on install. Okay, someone want to note down the steps? Okay, we'll give you the steps now. And you get packages. See how to install package from NuGet package. Step one, go to Solution Explorer, right click on references, manage NuGet packages. Clear for everyone? Step one, yes or no? Step two, click on what? Browse. Step three, search for SQL client. So, are based on your requirement. Okay. So, select system.data.sql client or same based on your requirement. Mhm. and you click on install. Clear for everyone? So please note down. So this is so important in your real-time career. Because what? So you need to implement new features. So that time what will happen? We don't know what to install. So this is the process. Okay. So please note down. After drawbacks. Okay, done. Okay, so you need to follow the steps so that you will get that data.sql client namespace. Okay, done. So I'm moving for our disconnection oriented architecture explanation. Yes. So cool. So here also the step one will be declare namespace and step two will be so create connection. So again, two ways of creating connection. One is what? So by using Windows authentication or SQL authentication, if it is Windows authentication, you don't need to give user ID password. If it is SQL authentication, you need to give user ID and password. So done. So what was our third step there in connection oriented? What is that? It's not required now. So here pass the query, first point. So my third step here again will have some sub steps again. Okay. So this step three, pass the query by using same SQL command class. Okay. Once you got the output from SQL command, store that output in SQL data adapter class. So you need pass the command output to data adapter class. Where you are passing command output now? Which class? So where you are passing SQL command output now? SQL. SQL data adapter class. What is that? What is that class? Simple. How to pass. So if you people remember that copy constructor, same way. So create one object to SQL data adapter class, just pass the output. Okay. So I will show you guys how it is. So is it clear for everyone? I'm going fast or slower than slow? Slower than slow. You guys want me to move fast? So this one. See, like this. Okay. SQL command. So this is my query. Whatever you want to keep here, just keep here. QERY. Okay. Done. Okay. Now create one object to your SQL data adapter class and data adapter class and simply store your what? SQL command class out. Got it? Clear for everyone? Yes or no? Done. Now I will explain about SQL data adapter little more. Okay. See it. So, so in your interviews, this is one of the question again. See, why I told the people in the beginning of our session is explain everything about that connection oriented and disconnection oriented, because SQL data adapter is one question, data set is one question, command is one question, that one SQL connection is one question. Before he asks us, so if he explain everything, he won't ask anything and he will leave that AD word attend and he will move to next topic. Okay, with what? 100 marks. So simple. Which is better, this one or that one? Okay, so SQL data adapter class. So basically, what we are doing, our SQL command class, so will execute and it will pass the output to, we'll pass the output to SQL data adapter class. So our SQL data adapter class, after that, so I told the people we are directly interacting with the main database there. It's a drawback. So here we have a concept called data set. So by using data set, we'll create a dummy database, a temporary database. How we'll create, I will show you guys. Okay. So you will store, you will store your data adapter output in your data set. Okay, but you cannot save directly command SQL command output in your data set. That is why we are going for data adapter. This data adapter is responsible to open the connection and close the connection, after that execution of the query and pass the data to data set. So see here what we mentioned here in our notes. So it will directly open the connection to database and it will execute the query. And result will be stored where? Data set. And finally SQL data adapter class will close the connection. So opening and closing this guy only doing. So that equals to opening and closing connection to the database and execute the query by SQL data adapter automatically. Do you people agree for that? Simple. Our SQL data adapter class is responsible for opening and closing the connection and execution, storing the data in your temporary database. That is what your data set. Sir, how to fill that data set now? So we have a predefined method. So in our SQL connection, we have two predefined methods. What is that? Open and close. Similarly, in our SQL data adapter, we have one predefined method that is named as fill. What is that? What is that? FILL, fill. Okay. Now, in your next step, step 4. So, step 4. Step 4. Create one object to data set. Okay. Create one object to data set and fill the data adapter output with data set. That's it. Now, simple. After creating object to data set, you are creating a temporary table. Now store your SQL data adapter output in your data set. And finally, you need to call your data set. That is what your temporary database that will give you the output. That's it. Got it? Clear for everyone? So I wrote one line here about dataset. Dataset is a temporary database used to store the data and retrieve the data from database. Dataset will read data bidirectionally, top to bottom and bottom to top. You can store the data and you can retrieve the data. Both ways, we can perform all kind of operations by using dataset. So, but when you go for connection oriented, so mostly we'll do insert, update, delete operations only with connection oriented architecture. Is it clear for everyone? So this is whatever data set. And finally, that is what the syntax, create object to data set. And finally, fill. So da.fill. So there you need to specify your data set. Got it? Clear for everyone? Done. So this is what connection, disconnection oriented architecture. So I will explain one more time. Okay. If that is boring also, no problem. So our step 1, step 2. So this point for everyone, it is clear. Step 3. So that is your point number 1 there. Point number 2, pass the SQL command output to whom? SQL data adapter. Very good. So SQL data adapter. Perfect. So after that, so now the interviewer will ask you, what is SQL data adapter is doing? Tell me. What is SQL data adapter is doing? It will automatically open the connection and close the connection, and it will execute the query, and it will pass the result to, that's it. Clear for everyone? So now again, step number 3, I will ask. So step number 3, point number 1. Tell me, pass the query to whom? So pass the query to whom? SQL command. Pass the query to whom? Pass the query to whom? See here, SQL command, right? Online people. So this online people 130 and they are now 120. That means 10 people in between they felt bored or something. Is that boring that much? Session? Is that going slowly? Okay. So like this. Got it. So step number 3, point number 1. Pass the query to whom? Very good. Now pass the output of command to whom? SQL data adapter. What is SQL data adapter is doing? And finally, it will pass the output to whom? Data set. What is the predefined method available in your data adapter class? Fill. What is that? What is that? Got it right? So now you explained about all the points related to data adapter now. So cool. Now fourth point. What is the fourth step? Create object to whom? No, data adapter is done now. Data set. Okay. After, what is this data set doing here? Here. Data set is what? Temporary. So what is data set? Temporary. So temporary data to store data and retrieve the data from where? Database. Okay. So you people need to tell those 2 points also. Because what? We told the interviewer, sir, we have 3 drawbacks with our connection oriented architecture, and we'll overcome them by using disconnection oriented architecture. With this point, all the drawbacks covered. Drawback 1 is what? Opening, closing. Now that is covered with what? Data adapter class. Very good. So second, so there we can read the data in forward only direction, but here both bidirectional. So by using whom we have achieved that data set, and also so we are directly interacting with our original database, but here temporary database. Who is that? Data set. So we've overcome all those drawbacks with what? Disconnection oriented architecture, hence proved. Right. So no more questions on it. Simple. So no more questions on it. 90% for up to 3-4 years of experience. So you will get 100 marks here. But maybe, so if you are 7 years or 6 years or something, so they may ask some innovative questions. Okay. But those will be easy only. Okay. So if you are 6 years experience means definitely you can manage, right? So if you have that much guts to keep 6 years, you will definitely have that much guts to handle. That's what I feel. Okay. But okay. So see, if someone is keeping more than 5 years of experience or something, so before going for interview or something, just connect with me. I will definitely tell you how to handle. Okay. If you are keeping directly 5 years, if you have 2 years experience already, and if you are keeping 5 years, no problem. So if you have 0 years of experience and if you're keeping 5 6 years directly, just message me. I will guide you how to handle. Okay. So anyone is keeping here, raise your hand. So Manikan, you're 30 plus. That's what your friend Sandeep is saying. Huh? Sandeep, who is 30? You or him? Both are 30. Okay. So clear for everyone? Yes or no? Okay. So please note down the steps. So in our tomorrow session, I will explain one more time. Okay. And we'll go for few program examples also. But you people note down the steps for now. Okay. Very good. Online people. So please tell me once it is done, I will scroll down. Now only want me to scroll down. Okay. Nothing to worry. Is that steps clear for everyone? Or anyone want better steps or something? So able to understand clearly? Okay, can I scroll down? Sean, sir, can you please clear once what is the drawback if we directly interact with original database in connection oriented? So the drawback is simple hackers. Hackers will hack the data. That's it. That is only a drawback. Okay, note down. Can I scroll down little more? Okay. Scroll down. Okay, done. Okay, fine then. Thank you all for coming and joining. We'll meet tomorrow and we'll discuss more programs on disconnection oriented architecture tomorrow.